Hello and welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Great to have you here. Today we're going to take a look at this watch. A watch from BENYAR, the BY-5176M. Now this is a homage watch to the Rolex Millgauss. I'm sure I am butchering that name, but there we go. Now the Rolex Millgauss, well actually Millgauss is a word that was created by Rolex. Mille from mille, which is French for 1,000, and Gauss or goose is a unit of measurement in magnetic fields. So the original, the Rolex Millgauss, is a watch designed by Rolex to withstand high levels of electromagnetism. Well, obviously that isn't one. This isn't one of those. Let's be honest. But it is a homage to that watch. It's a very distinct looking watch that BENYAR have gone after to pay homage to. And the reason I called this Get It While You Can is I believe at Watches and Wonders in 2023, Rolex announced that this watch was going away, it was being discontinued. I think it was one of the less popular Rolex models anyway, so it's no surprise. It did get discontinued in the 80s and then bought back in the early 2008, I think it was. And so they're discontinuing it again. So I do wonder if this watch will disappear along with it over a period of time as they sell out the stock. I don't know. I don't know that fact from BENYAR, but I just got a feeling that they might. Now, I got this watch from AliExpress. It cost around $40, give or take. You can get it on some of the special deals and sales, so worth keeping an eye out. Now, this is the black dialed version, and there's also a blue dial version. Now, one thing I did notice is the blue dial seems to have more of a sunburst dial, whereas this dial is matte black, but we'll come on to that in a little bit. And the only other thing to point out is I believe in the actual Rolex version they do a white dialed one, but I've never seen a homage to that on Ali. But let's take a look at what we get. Now, dimensions on this watch. So we have a diameter of 41 millimeters. A strap width of 21 millimeters, a lug to lug of 49.1 millimeters. Now, the watch is quite flat, so it does wear rather large. The lugs don't really drop around, as you can see. It's quite a flat watch, so those with smaller wrists might struggle with this one a little bit. Thickness 13 mil, and weight, it's actually quite a weighty watch at 147 grams. Now, I don't know how close that is to the original it's paying homage to. However, it is quite a big watch. It's a very sort of business style watch, really. So it is a little on the large side. Anybody with an 8-inch wrist like myself probably wouldn't have any issues wearing this. But as I say, those with smaller wrists might find that this does sit proud of their wrist a little bit. Now, the build on this watch, well, it's up for debate because I've seen this on several stores on AliExpress, and I've seen several different descriptions of what it's made of, its sizing, etc. And we'll find out a little bit more about that when we come on to the water resistance. I've got a feeling it's an alloy. It says on the actual case back, all stainless steel build, but I've just got a feeling it's an alloy. It's very highly polished and it looks really well. And it's a really good finish. The finish on the bezel is particularly nice. However, along with that it is a fingerprint magnet. So as soon as you start touching this watch, you will take all those lovely shiny surfaces on the body and the bezel and make them all sticky with your fingerprints. Crystal wise, you can see it's a Hardlex crystal it's listed as, and it has that green tint. Again, on this particular model, that's the only Rolex that has a tinted sapphire crystal. And obviously they've tried to emulate that with that. It does really add a distinct look to the watch, I must admit. Makes it stand out from the crowd. But you're either going to love it or hate it, I think. Crown wise, just straightforward. Nice and simple. It's a well built watch. It is quite heavy, as I've already pointed out. But for the price you pay, I do think it is really good quality. Now, dial wise, on this black version, is very distinct, as it's a homage to copy that dial. We've got a very matte black dial. Now, as I said, on the blue version, that seems to be much more of a sunburst effect. That's probably the more striking of the two dial wise. Indices, we've got a triangle at the 12 and then markers all the way around every 5 minutes. The 3, 6 and 9 are orange. Others are white, all edged in silver, and then as you can see just on the outer track with the minute markers, you've got the 5, the 10, the 15, all in this orange that matches the seconds hand, which is, well, I suppose it's a lightning bolt, but obviously it was designed for electromagnetic even resistance, so I'm guessing that's meant to be some sort of an electromagnetic field, and that's what relates to that. So it all ties in really nicely. Hands, very flat batons, nicely polished with Lume in the middle. Again, I'll come on to the Lume in just a second. We've then got BENYAR printed above the pinion, and then automatic water resistant 5 bar 50 meters below the pinion. The bezel, as you can see, is really shiny, but it really does pick up those fingerprints. So just bear that in mind. When you put this on, you'll want to give it a little polish with a cloth to let it take off all those fingerprints that I've lovingly put over the top of this already. So just bear that in mind. Now, lume wise on this watch, well, we've got all sorts, to be honest. Let me just pop that just in the corner so you can see what it's like when it's lit up. So we've got green on most of the indices, then the orange ones are obviously orange at the 3, 6 and 9, and then blue on the hands. It looks really good, but it doesn't last long at all. It doesn't pass my 3 AM test, so you can't read your watch at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's just no chance with the lume on this. It is really weak. You'd probably make it to about midnight and it would be gone. So definitely don't buy this watch if lume is important to you. So case back wise, really nice open case back. Markings on the screw down case. Well, quite straightforward really. Solid, all solid stainless steel. Again, I'm not sure if that's true with regards to the body of the watch. 50 meters water resistant. And BY-5176M. Now, as I say, the 50 meters of water resistance, I've seen some listings with 50 meters and some with 30. My gut feel is it's probably 50 with this. Now, the movement wise, I couldn't find any notification of what the movement was. I'm guessing it's a pearl movement. There's no markings on it whatsoever. I mean, it looks really nice on the back of the watch, but as you know, only you will really get to see that. But it certainly adds to the look of the watch. So bracelet wise, alleged stainless steel, really nice 3-link bracelet, brushed on the 2 outer pieces and polished in the middle. Very smart for the business watch. That sort of meets up to the bezel, as you can see, and up with the lug, so it all ties in. Quite a decent sized strap. Comes around to the clasp. Now the clasp is one of the points I'm a little disappointed with. Got BENYAR on the clasp. As you can see, it's very small. Double security pushers, pressed clasp. But because of the style of this, and I'm assuming it is authentic to the original, I've got no micro adjust, and that's a real problem. I think I've took a link out of this and it still wears really loose on me, and with no micro adjust I've got no chance of really tightening that up other than popping another link out, and then it'll be too tight. So that's one of the disappointments. It certainly fits the watch and the style of the watch, but it lacks that adjustability. So here it is on my 8-inch wrist. As I say, I've got a larger wrist than most, and it sits really nicely. Now it is a flat watch, and at 49.1mm lug to lug, it might sit too proud for some people with smaller wrists, so just bear that in mind. But for me, it sits fine. It is a little loose for me, and that's down to one of the niggles I have with the watch, which is no micro adjust on the clasp. As I say, that might be true to the original that it's paying homage to, but it actually is a bit of a pain, because if I took another link out, it would simply be way too tight. So that's a shame, so I have to wear it loose. But it's a very smart looking business watch. If you were to buy this, would you go with the black dial or the blue dial? Let me know in the comments below. And the other niggle I have, it's a fingerprint magnet with also these polished surfaces, so you would need to keep just wiping it on your cuff maybe. Anyway, if this isn't your style of watch, this might be your style of watch, which is an all titanium build Citizen. I recently reviewed this. I'll put a link in the corner to that. Thanks to everyone who's liked, subscribed and commented, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.